Barbero, and I did my analysis on Hotel Rwanda. The Rwandan genocide started in July of 1994 and lasted for 100 days. During the genocide, Hutus massacred 500,000 to 1 million Tutsis when the Hutu extreme government created a plan to wipe out the Tutsi minority from Rwanda. The split between these groups started when the Belgians controlled Rwanda. The Europeans split Rwandan people into two groups, the Hutu majority and the Tutsi minority, and gave the Tutsis several advantages over the Hutus. These two groups were distinguished by factors such as the width of their nose and their height. To create further tensions, the Belgians also had whether you were Tutsi or Hutu stamped into your identification card. When Belgium gave Rwanda freedom, the Hutu majority assumed power, which led to discrimination against the Tutsis, which caused many of them to flee Rwanda, making them even more of a minority within Rwanda. A civil war broke out in 1990 when the RPF invaded Rwanda from the north, and it ended in 1993 with the signing of a power-sharing treaty, which angered Hutu extremists and set the stage for even more violence. The genocide started after the president of Rwanda was assassinated. Impuza Mugambi and Interahamwe began the genocide in 1993 by setting up blockades throughout Rwanda, slaughtering Tutsis and moderate Hutus. The Rwandan military supported the Hutu militias with weapons and supplies throughout the genocide. The Rwandan genocide ended when the RPF took back control after Rwanda after a 100-day period of killing. This genocide caused around 2 million people, mostly Hutu, to flee the country and become refugees. Elsewhere in the world, other genocides, such as the Bosnian genocide, which is when the Yugoslavs attacked Bosnian Muslims and Croatian citizens, the Holocaust, which is when the Nazi Germany, led by Hitler, targeted Jews, and the Rohingya genocide, where Muslims are being forced out of Myanmar by Hindus, all are similar to what occurred during the Rwandan genocide, which left thousands of refugees displaced from their home country. The UN or other peace-enforcing groups did not initially get involved when the genocide broke out, and the targeted group people band together for survival. In 2004, which is a time when this film was being made and published, there was a Sudan ethnic cleansing, and it was also the 10th anniversary of the Rwandan genocide. Sudans wanted to get rid of all the ethnic black people in the country. In relation to the Sudan genocide, Hotel Rwanda shows how the UN won't get involved in the conflict to help the Tutsis, which is what was happening in Sudan at the time the film was being made and released. This movie is also commenting on how the Sudan ethnic cleansing by how genocides are still occurring today and need to be dealt with sooner and in a more efficient manner. In relation to the anniversary of the genocide, the film is remembering the genocide because its effects are still seen today and shouldn't be forgotten. This film brings awareness to the horrors of the genocides and how people need to get involved so conflicts like this will not occur again in the future. The target audience of this film is people who have connections to organizations such as the UN and other movements to make a direct impact, or who are over the age of 13 or able to understand the significance of the genocide and who make an impact on preventing these crimes from happening again. People with connections to organizations such as the UN or other peace-enforcing movements are the intended audience because they can have an influence on the level of involvement of these organizations to help the people who are being discriminated against sooner and prevent more death. Europeans are also another target audience for this film, so they can recognize how they have to get involved sooner in crises like this, after witnessing what staying out of the conflict led to in Rwanda, which was many unnecessary casualties. The motivation for this film was to show the genocide through the eyes of the Rwandan people, not just what is told on the news, but a story from someone who was actually there, or in other words, a first-hand experience. As it was said by director Terry George in a Today interview, the story that Paul told was different than what people imagined was going on in Rwanda. Another purpose for making this movie was to spread awareness about how big of a deal genocides are, as some people don't understand how horrific these crises truly are. Also, this movie can influence organizations such as the UN to get involved sooner in genocides in the future, as it shows how many lives are taken due to the decision to stay out of the conflict and how violently they were taken. The bicep for this film is from Paul, who is telling the story and is the hotel manager in the movie. Paul could have made himself sound more heroic than he actually is to get more praise, leave out poor and unethical choices he made during the genocide to not tarnish his image and to make him look purely like a good guy. He can say that he did more for the Tutsis than he actually did to further improve his image, or take credit for things that other people did. Since he's telling from his point of view, he can easily put actions on himself than to mention other people. Also, the director Terry George, who's European, chose to highlight more impressive parts of Paul's stories to make this movie seem even more respectable, and most likely make the Europeans look slightly better than they actually did during the genocide. Paul, the hotel manager in the film, was said to kick out refugees who couldn't pay their rent by Pasa, who was a receptionist at the hotel. This was not shown in the movie because it would make him seem like a bad guy for throwing out the Tutsis where they would most likely fake certain death. It was also said in the book inside Hotel Rwanda, the surprising true story, that the refugees were treated poorly, which wasn't shown in the film. This probably was kept out of the movie to make it seem like Paul was treating everyone well and with the best support he could provide. He was also suspected to give names to the RTLM radio, which is a Hutu radio that hates on Tutsis. This was not shown in the film because it would contradict his actions on taking in Tutsi refugees and keeping them safe from the Hutus. In general, these were not shown to make the main character Paul look more heroic and a likable person to get a more positive reaction from the audience. Thank you.